Yo, how's it going, everybody? We've got a recap for North America, top 32 down to top 16, and a lot of confused people in the community about why the heck teams are playing what they are, what the results were, and some pretty big surprises. It looks like NA's learning a thing or two from EU, and it might be because of all the imports. Either way, we're going to be breaking down what's going on. As always, if you guys having trouble staying up to date, make sure you guys hit like, subscribe, notifications. That way you get notifications of the videos when they drop. Or check out the Discord down below. There is literally a notification that goes off every time I post a video. So with that in mind, we're going to jump into our top 16 and try to speed through these a little bit so we can spend more time talking about the seeding and what Buchholz is, because a lot of people are unfamiliar with the seeding format and how strength of schedule and how important they are emphasizing the teams that perform better should get results and rewards for it. Unless you're Gen G and energy poops the bed when you do really well. We'll get to that. Either way, if you guys are unfamiliar with what went down, we had 32 teams in two groups of 16 competing in Swiss this past weekend, and they are trying to fight for a chance to be one of the top 8 in their group. In Group 1, out of these 16 teams, we had the following, and as you guys can see, some pretty surprising results. First things first, Gen G is the former Luminosity team with Reddles, Magic Bear, and Cheese going 3-0. Taken down in what, in my opinion, is pretty straightforward competition. Shouldn't be too surprising by any of these. Their biggest competition, Strictly Business, if you guys don't know. Full import team of Europeans with Seamus, Crispy, and Ixo that have been looking pretty dang solid. So, Gen G takes number 1. Complexity also imports from South America. Raise Bull, Diaz, CRR. Staying the same. Coming in going 3-0 as well. They took down Alpha Cap's team. They took down, God, who is that? Silenced. I actually don't know who's on Silenced off the top of my head. And then Evo. Team Evo is also an EU import team with Relating Wave, Speed, and Arju. Congratulations on them getting picked up as well. Another collegiate type team coming over. Some big surprises overall. A lot of people unsure about what Deleted was going to look like because they have 2 players that have kind of been on the outside with Gyro and Andy. And pairing in the Wonder Kid that is Wavy, and they go 3-1. Their only loss coming to that Gen G roster that is super demo heavy, in your face, boost control type play style. They do, in their first round, upset NRG, and this is basically what lit NA on fire this past weekend. Everybody on the timelines losing their mind of like, what just went down? What the heck is going on? And then immediately we were met with reality. The High had to, they basically blacked out. And we're like, where are we? They lost their series and then they regained and went through. The other thing that I think is pretty impressive too is based upon the teams that they had to play in that 1-1 round. Wubtub Pub, they should definitely beat without a doubt. And then on the other side, Almost Nuts is a team that has some veterans and some people that I actually really enjoy. Not only as people, like T-Carl, shout outs to you, but Repeat is a player that I think has so much potential as he gains more confidence. Similar vibes as Reveal on Space Station. Outside of that, the JNAB's roster did not make top 8. Some people upsetty spaghetti about that one. But other than that, I would like to assume the teams that were moving forward should have moved forward in Group A. I think things going as expected. Maybe some results I would shift up and down, primarily looking at UNRG, who unfortunately for Pioneers, that was their final result. They had to play what is arguably what many people consider the second best team in the world from last year and the most consistent team in the world last year, starting off a little rough. So wake up call for NRG. Maybe they can bounce back as we get into the next bracket. Outside of that, on Group B, Ultimates, the former Mango roster, FK, LJ, and Chronic going perfect 3-0. The biggest competition being Shopify Rebellion, who they do get brought to Game 5 against. So good for Rebellion there. That is their only loss. So Rebellion, we had some concerns. The ups and downs, the offseason results were not there. Stabilizing here, which is big W. Omelet as well, the former Cloud9 team, doing pretty dang well. So congratulations to them on going 3-0. Having to play Pirates on Boat, kind of their counterparts, in my opinion. And the 9 Lives team. If you guys don't know 9 Lives, don't worry, that's totally fair. We have not seen a single thing from them during this offseason, but there has been a lot of talk of the potential of what this team could be. This is the Chicago, Hoxer, and Kofor team, who do only suffer 1 loss in a Game 5 to Omelet and move forward. I felt that they have a big chance between the teams like Tech, like Pioneers, to potentially go and make a run for that 4th place spot into the region. I would love to see 9 Lives play against teams like Gen G, the former LG team, and see how they do. That's what I want to see personally. A lot of potential with that roster. Very excited to see if Chicago can recreate the world championship level of performance and really bring this team to that next level. Oxford is always going to be consistent, in my opinion. Outside of that, things going as expected. Worsland, the roster, Hazo, Jazzy, and PZY. PZY, from what I saw, apparently had a really, really good performance. So dope to see that. That Tech team has had a pretty rough going. So Tech started in the lower bracket. They didn't have any extra lives going through the double elimination. Still able to qualify. They did have a pretty rough go of it, having to face Ultimates out of the gate for that reason. But they do find a bounce back against Power Rangers, Darklight, Hexic, and Mech. Okay, so they bounce back against a team they definitely should have. Then who do they lose to? Worsland. That's a game that they probably should be winning, if I'm being honest, if I'm Tech. And then they beat Was Up and Talladega. Okay, so realistically, still a lot to prove if you're Tech. You're losing against teams that honestly you shouldn't. You haven't created that separate side of yourself that showcases that you're a true top 8. A lot to prove for this team. So very interested to see how they bounce out. And the one that I'm so keen on, Gas. I think even though they're all retired, I think AJ, Garrett, and Squishy could 100% make top 6. I would not be surprised. I know a lot of people really enjoy tuning into their streams, and rightfully so. I think this is a content machine and a lot of potential to actually have to go and compete at a major. Potentially. We'll see how things go. Either way, that gives us our top 16. Unfortunately, as you guys can see, we do not have a bracket filled out. Luckily, there's a couple things that we can tell you guys about the information that is different this year that we did not talk about in Europe. Number one, game differential is not a tiebreaker situation we use anymore. So while we have game differential in here to determine the head-to-head matchups, the seeding is done differently. When we take a look at the rulebook, the way seeding works when we go into the GSL bracket, giving advantages to the teams that perform the best. And the way to do this is strength of schedule, which is also known as your Buchholz score. If you aren't familiar with that, let's talk through it. So, for seeding purposes, the 3 tiebreakers to pay attention to. Number 1, final placement from the Swiss stage. How well did you do? Did you go 3-0? Did you go 3-1? Did you go 3-2? Whatever you did there, that is number 1. And because of the way that teams get implemented, there's going to be certain tiebreakers in between those. If you aren't familiar with Buchholz, basically what it is doing is taking the opponents and seeing how well they did. If you guys remember Adam Core, who did all the prediction spreadsheets way back when we started utilizing those, Adam Core took a step back. Cody has been taking those over. He has also put out a very lovely graphic to break this down. So, shout outs to Cody. This is who you go to, Cody VRL on Twitter, if you want to do the prediction sheets. That is your guy. Why does Complexity have a -3 Buchholz? So we can do this as an example again. I know you guys are probably visual learners like I am. So if we go back to this, Complexity is in the 3-0 round. Their Buchholz score is -3 because of the competition that they played. Buchholz is weighing your strength of schedule. The teams that you played to make it in, how did they do? So, Complexity went against Little Step Bros. Went 1-3. Silenced. How did Silence do? 1-3. So they went -2. Complexity went against Team Evo. They went 3-2. So it's +1. Buchholz is -3. The way that this works is based upon your strength of schedule. Because we have 4 teams, there's 2 groups of Swiss, which means 2 teams have to go 3-0. You went 3-0. You went 3-0. Because of that, how do we organize that? How do we determine who played better? It is by who played the tougher competition. We are doing strength of schedule versus game differential like we did last year. 100% correct. Again, if you guys would like another example, Genji went 3-0. They are in a 3-way tie, technically a 4-way tie with Complexity, Ultimates, and Omelet. To determine who moves forward and who has the higher seeding, Genji goes, we played Almost Nuts, who went 3-2. So they went +1. We played Deleted, who went 3-1, so that's +2. And we played Strictly Business, who also went 3-1, which is another +2. So their Buchholz score is 5. Based upon who they played the toughest competition. Therefore, they get the #1 seed and deserve to play the team that performed the worst. The thing is you always do 1 versus 15 and 2 versus 16 to avoid rematches. It just so happens to them that Energy had a really bad day and they end up playing what is arguably one of the best teams in the world. If anybody watching this video would like a better explanation or for me to break this down, please stop by the stream where I can do this live. The thing you need to understand, we no longer care about game differential. All we care about is how did you perform? Did you go 3-0, 3-1, 3-2? How did you do? Okay, if there's teams that are in those tiers, the 3-0s, the 3-1s, the 3-2s, the teams that they beat, how did they perform? If the teams you played also performed very well, you're going to get easier competition because you showed that you were able to beat teams that were better. Hope that makes sense. Because of that, we are then doing the Buchholz system where we are doing the inverse. 1 versus 15, 7 versus 9, 3 versus 13, 5 versus 11, so on and so forth. Genji is playing NRG. Strictly Business is playing Space Station. Omelet is playing Gas. And Deleted is playing Worsland. In Group B, Ultimates is playing Tech. A lot of people are like, but that's a rematch, blah, blah, blah. We don't care. That's not how this works anymore. Rematches only matter in Swiss. They do not matter in GSL. So rematches can happen when you're going from format to format. They can't happen within the same format, though. You cannot see in Swiss when it is strength of schedule, hey, 1-0 plays 1-0, 2-0 plays 2-0. You can't see rematches there. Why do they keep switching the format? To make sure the best teams moving forward occur. They want to make sure that they are rewarding the teams that are performing the best. This is the best way to do it. It's actually a really good format. It's a little confusing at first. It is heavily weighted. There is a ton of extra lives. It doesn't come down to the results of one day. Teams are given guaranteed seeding for top 8. The format rewards the teams that are playing the best. It is phenomenal. It is a very good format. A little confusing, though. With that in mind, any questions, let me know. Like, comment, subscribe down below. Check out the documents. Make sure you pay attention to the videos. Most cases, if you guys have a question, I've answered it in a video in some way or another, or stop by the stream. Twitch.tv/Lawler. We'll be here pretty much every day. But I'm out of here. Peace.